Good, Mark. Well, I appreciate you hosting us here. I think for us, this is kind of our first Discord stage. So like to keep it largely conversational. Both Sean and myself have been in the games industry in one form or the other for uh, probably far too long. Sean and myself more than others, but yeah, no, we're excited to be here. I don't know, Mark, if you had any specific topics this week you wanted us to touch on, but yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah, so we don't have a concrete docket in hand because this was more so about meeting the Hiber community and spreading the word about Helix and your guys' plans, what the future looks like, what you guys are working on right now, etc., etc. And
Perfect. No,
yeah,
I love it. Sean, you've been part of the hybrid community for a very long time.
Yeah.
Uh, Maybe you can tell the community a little bit about how Helix and Hyber kind of got connected, and where you saw the value in this partnership as we first started talking.
Yeah. So, hi everyone. I'm Sean. Last name's Kalpinen. I don't know if in Web3 we're allowed to actually use our real names, but I've actually been
we'll allow
in
it.
Web3 for about 4 years. On top of that, but Hybrid joined 6 years ago. The company's a little over 7 years old. It started out with a mission to bring the ability to create in 3D to everyone. Over the last year, well, actually for the first 5 years, 6 years of its existence, we were working on a platform called Hyperworld, which allows people to build games with no code. And I think a lot of the people on the Hyperworld Discord are still the no code users, where they can go in and quickly build a game out and send it to friends instantly. Behind that is some incredible technology. There's an engine and an editor that exist that actually let you do code as well, and that's called Hybrid 3D. So as we've been going through our process as a company and figuring out how do we make money, how do we make sure that we can actually continue to exist, and we started getting some ideas around, some of the games that we have on the platform are pretty good. How do we do distribution of that and get it out to larger audiences? Because we have a lot of UGC creators, people who are building their own games and probably not professional developers yet, but want to be someday or potentially could be someday if they wanted to. And then as we went through that process of thinking like, okay, how do you build a Steam for games? How do you actually solve the problems that people have when they're creating, which is how do I develop the game? How do I distribute it? How do I get people to even understand that it's available, that they can play it, the discovery piece? And Patrick and I were actually at a conference a few months ago, and I've known Patrick for years. Worked on a game called Age of Booty with him when he was at a previous company
That's a
many
good
years
name.
ago. At least a decade. It was a pirate game. It was pretty fun pirate game that they did from Certain Affinity. Um, and we both had similar ideas um, around where we were going to go in our strategies. And it's not my idea; it's our company's idea. We have a leadership team that's come up with the idea. So it made a lot more sense to kind of figure out how we could work together versus how we could be competitors. So um, that's how it started to come together. And as we started talking more and more, we realized that there's some interesting components within Web3 where Patrick and the Helix team have some really strong capabilities and experience that would make it so the community can own the assets and own the games that they're building in a more real way than they could do traditionally within Web 2. And it's something that I think we're super excited about, which is, how do we make it so people can own their assets? They can actually trade these within across different lines with other people. They can buy and sell, but it's actually them owning not only the games and things that they build within them, but also the platform in some ways. And I think that's where maybe cut in Patrick a little bit about how Helix is kind of approaching things.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect segue. And for those of you I haven't met on the stage, I'm Patrick Bergman, I'm the CEO of Helix. Like Sean, been in games for a long time. Spent over a decade at Microsoft, a decade at independent video game developer, Certain Affinity. Spent almost 3 years at Gala Games, helping them build their portfolio of titles. Before spinning off and starting Helix, and the ethos with Helix Games was really solving a bunch of pain points I saw in how gamers interact with gaming content, and how developers and gamers and influencers now have really created what I call the holy trinity of gaming, right? Like 20, 30 years ago, you went to a store to buy a box product with a floppy disk, hard disk, or a CD-ROM, depending on how old you are. Then we moved to digital distribution, which is still the prevalent way to engage and download a game. But within the last 5, 10 years, we've had this massive adoption and interest in streaming. Right? Look at Gen Z, Gen A, and they watch games as much as they play games. And while there's all of these disparate platforms that allow gamers to engage in content, nobody has really unified them into a cohesive ecosystem that I think helps alleviate and address some of the underlying issues we have in the games industry, but B, I think supports building a far more robust community amongst gamers. And so when we first started building Helix, we were really focused on two of the three Ds, as we call them, which was distribution and discovery. And our thesis was, if we can unify the distribution and discovery elements of the gaming industry, it helps everybody, right? So game developers today, one of the biggest things they struggle with is discoverability, right? You launch a game on Steam, it's buried under hundreds of other launches. Half the games that launch on Steam never even qualify for social features, because the way games are discovered now is largely through influencers and streamers. And for a lot of the smaller scale studios, tapping into those influencers and KOLs is a daunting and arduous process. And we thought, A, we could solve that by what we're building, but B, we can start to create really compelling interactions between the developers, the players, and influencers by doing that. So it's a really long-winded way of saying we're building something for gamers by gamers. Both Sean and I and the rest of the leadership team are all hardcore gamers, but we're building it in a way that is going to support all of the audiences. So you're going to have a Steam-like platform with all of the social features you've come to appreciate, but we're bringing the influencers and KOLs directly into the platform. And we're giving them a bunch of tools to now allow them to engage, to grow and scale the content. We have some pretty interesting AI agent technology that we can talk about a little bit later. But it's basically giving everybody more tools and charging them less than what really anybody in the market is currently doing. But that is the beauty is, we had focused on the distribution and discovery, and through talking with Sean and the team, the Hiber engine solves the third D, which was development, like giving developers new tools to create content and to engage their audience of gamers. And what the Hiber team has built is nothing short of phenomenal. I mean, having an engine as powerful as it is at the size it is, allows us to really engage with, the next billion, 2 billion gamers in new and unique ways that are really accessible to anybody. It's not locked behind an app store. It's so small that you click a link and it's open in microseconds and you're playing. Like it really fills out the kind of thesis and excitement and our approach to go into to market here.
Yeah. I'll say as the person who's responsible for marketing over on the Hybrid side, uh, I haven't done a very good job at marketing one of the key features, which is Hybrid as an engine runs in the browser, but it also runs in social messenger apps. So you can run it natively in the browser for Telegram, for WeChat, for Kakao, Line, Snapchat, all these places where you're like, oh my God, you can actually play games on Hyperworld in these places. Yes, and you can play individual games that are built. I think the community probably saw a super cool game that we've been developing internally as we build out the engine and the editor. It's called RoboRun, right on the front page of Hyperworld, and that's the kind of stuff that you'll be able to do in the very near future if you want to put in more time and effort on the coding side and build more complex games. But yeah, that the ability to hit the next 4 billion people that are on social messenger platforms, but as you said, 2 billion new gamers, people who aren't Steam gamers and they're not on the traditional channels of downloading Unity to build something, or they're not using Twitch to get all their content. That's why this is the uh, perfect marriage and the perfect time for these things to come together, because it really is new platforms, new gamers, and I know a lot of people who are playing Hyperworld are in places where they're not on Steam or they play most of the stuff on a mobile phone, and even installing something is kind of a pain in the butt because there's only so much storage space and there's uh, a lot of issues sometimes with network speeds and connections. But that's the key here is we're super performant on those devices, so you can build and play. And then with the Helix part, now you can actually get it out to a larger audience of people, maybe even make money. Fantastic. And then engage with influencers who want to be a part of promoting those different titles. So it really is a super awesome time to be a Hyber world creator, and a super awesome time to jump on board with the next big platform for games that's really changing how we can discover and distribute stuff.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think one of the really interesting things to me, Sean, is, we've talked about this. If I'm an influencer and I'm live streaming a game I'm playing in the Hyper
Yes.
engine, being able to just paste a link in my streaming chat, and everybody that's watching, they click the link and now they're in playing the
Yes.
game with the influencer, right? Like it creates a bunch of really interesting vehicles, some of which I don't think we've even thought of new ways for everybody to engage.
Yeah, new ways to do game discovery, new ways to actually interact with your friends. Imagine if you actually go and buy a game. If you were to do it on Steam today and say, "Oh man, join me in this game. It'll be awesome." And you send the link and they're like, "It's $20. I can't play that." Oh, there's no
It's
free trial.
$20, and then you also have to create an account inside the game, and then you also have to
Yeah,
tab
yeah,
out to do verification, and then we can play.
yeah. Yeah, and with a link from Hyber, it was like, "Hey man, join me in this game," and you could send it out, and you can literally play immediately, because it's pretty instant if you see how stuff loads in the Hyber engine and the Hyber environment. Um, and I think that over time will the business model will evolve. Like maybe you get to play for 10, 15 minutes after that influencer goes. It's like, hey, you enjoying the game still? Do you want to buy it? And maybe that influencer participates in that and they get a percentage of the sale. This really kind of redefining how game discovery and sales and trials and how we all find new games and play games with our friends. And I think that's the most important thing is like to evolve that, to
With
where we
all
can
of
all
this
have a lot
said,
more fun and participate.
sorry to interrupt you. Just with all of this said, I just wanted to point out how majorly the both of you are downplaying the timing here, because it seems like the entirety of the industry, of the gaming industry, is now just opening their eyes to the mobile platform, and they're starting to seriously consider the mobile platform as a place where real gamers are, where people who truly enjoy video games, because it used to be just your Candy Crush, your typical match threes, your puzzle games. But
Uh,
over the years, over the past couple of years, we've seen a lot of big titles migrate to mobile. We've seen a lot of big developers try their best at breaching into the mobile market. Some with big success, some with a smaller success. So the timing feels just really great here with all again the big developers and the indie developers moving to mobile, and again just
Yeah,
giving the leg up.
yeah. I mean, I think it's largely a no-brainer that we're seeing a lot of companies move into mobile, right? Like when it comes to reach and the number of users and the accessibility of a mobile device versus a PC or a console. No surprises we're seeing that migration. What I think is even more interesting in what we're doing at Helix is uh, for so long developers have been beholden to the incumbent distribution platforms on mobile. It's iOS or the Android store on Google, or on PC, Steam. What we're trying to do is largely democratize that and build a platform that allows developers to launch their game, to scale their audience, to get discovered, and to do it at a very, very fair rate, right? Like, it's a developer launching your game, and then the money you get from any sales, 30% of it's gone before it hits you, and a lot of developers can't afford that, right? And that's one of the reasons we started to build Helix. Was these platforms have relied on their dominance in the market for so long, and they've largely become complacent, right? Like, you look at Steam, it really hasn't changed fundamentally in decades. And they can still charge their 30%. And for those that aren't aware, I think Steam still has the highest revenue per employee. Sean, you could probably check me on that, but they do almost $10 billion a year with 300 employees.
yeah, they're
um
pretty good.
yeah, I mean, they're just raking in the money. And I think we have the chance to give back to the developers, give back to the players, and have a very viable platform, right? And one of the ways we're able to do that is leveraging blockchain technology and leveraging what's called decentralized physical infrastructure. It allows us to democratize the support of the platform to ensure lives on in perpetuity, supports cost savings that we pass on to the ecosystem. It does all of these things, and I think that's the exciting thing to me is it's giving more and asking for less.
I'll say a thing here. Discovery's become the most difficult part of game development. There's so many great games that are being built, and the tools being easier to access has made it more accessible to a lot of people. But if you go back to 2003, 2004, and I'm working on EverQuest and Star Wars Galaxies and EverQuest 2, the budgets on games, even Call of Duty back then, the budget was like, oh my God, marketing's going to be 10 to 15% of the entire development budget. And today, you look at it and it's like development is 20% of the entire budget to launch a game. So it's 400% more to do the marketing than it is to actually build the game. So it's very inverted how it's changed. It's because competition and the difficulty in getting people to get in and start playing it instantly, or even a trial. Can you imagine a trial of Call of Duty today when it's like 80 gigs to, to even get in and play for like 5 minutes? Like, well, okay, that's completely inaccessible to most people on the planet. And I think how we've looked at things for a while is um, and thank you to Epic for what they've done with the app stores and opening it up so people can actually uh, go direct on the web and in their web source and sell stuff. So lowers that cost a little bit there for the industry. It's good for everybody. And Epic's doing great work. We praise them, the competitor, but also people that we respect. Um, if you look at where everything's going, it's important to be able to get in quickly and have these instant gaming opportunities. Otherwise, people just get bored and they time out, or they just don't have the ability to access the content, and that's how games can't get discovered. So I think putting the pieces together, even as a development engine and an editor, that makes it so you can build games within the Hyper environment. It's part of the discovery process. So everything we're doing here is discovery um, and distribution.
Discovery and distribution. Another point that's very fascinating to me personally is the fact that everything is packed into one place. So if you are an indie dev who's just starting out, imagine spending like a few years putting a game together and then having to go figure out a publisher, having to figure out the marketing and all of it, just on your own, because again, it's just you, one person. Um, just wondering how many games die, how many games never make it, because again, development is hugely different from marketing and everything else that goes into making a game successful.
Almost all of them die.
Yeah.
That's that's the truth. It's a sad reality, but the majority of them do die, and it's because um, and I've been in the industry 30 years, worked on 650 plus games, and that doesn't include the independent games or studios that I've worked with over the years, and trying to help them um, uh, oftentimes just understand that the development piece is one part of it, and like I said with the anecdotal comments before of how the marketing budgets, or how the budgets for games have changed over the years, the required roles. If you're a one person developer, yeah, you can develop the game. You learn how to code. You learn how to build great gameplay. You watch lots of videos and get your game out there. But then there's the other parts. Oh, how do I actually either self-publish it or find a publisher to work with? So there's a business development skill and what's called soft skills. You have to kind of figure out, how do I pull my personality out enough that people are confident that I know what I'm building and that this is going to be a great game. How do I sell that? And then the marketing piece, like, how do I build a marketing schedule? And all these pieces are so complex. It's why most games do die. Most games have a very short life cycle, and a lot of times people get frustrated and kind of abandon it as what they want to do. But the ones who are super persistent um, break through. They learn, and they get the pieces. But I see the Helix proposal here being a way to shortcut a lot of the things and make it more accessible for developers to get to their market without having to have all of the skills that you would have to have before. Um, so it's a super positive for that, and that means that gamers are going to be able to see more cool games that they would have otherwise never heard about or been able to participate in.
Well,
Yeah,
that's.
absolutely.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, Patrick. Go ahead.
No, no, I was agreeing with Sean's eloquent words.
Yep, that's fair enough.
Thank
That's
you.
fair enough. See, and on top of that, very recently, as a proof of concept, we've seen more than a few indie titles that really proved that video games are about about the game being fun, about the game being engaging, as opposed to it being about crazy hyper realistic graphics, as opposed to following some sort of a really big franchise, because we've seen games, incredible games put together with very simple code. We've seen games that sold tens, if not hundreds of millions of copies, and the entire game would run on if and then statements. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to really creative people who haven't had the opportunity to truly sit down and learn how to put a game together. But now, when they have the tools they need all in one place, I'm just looking forward to more novel concepts, just really cool games. I guess is what I'm looking out for.
I would throw out three examples of games that don't have the most amazing graphics in the world, but they have such incredible gameplay. It it makes it so that doesn't matter. Like Minecraft, well, when I first played that, I got I was like, why are people playing this? It looks so horrible. And then you start playing with it, you're like, oh, but the gameplay is so good. Monument Valley, what an incredible game to play, and what an achievement, and bringing new puzzle game mechanics to the world where you can actually spin the worlds and stuff like that. And then Papers, Please, which is another one I love. It's an awesome game that's on Steam, and you're playing a role that you would never even think of would be a game. And these have kind of spawned other things like who wants to power wash things, power wash simulator, or
Oh, sign me up, man.
police
Yeah,
beat officer
kill it with
simulator
fire,
and
Sean.
Euro trains. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
go kill
anything you
insects.
can think
Yeah.
of. And that's the greatness of what happens within a creative industry. It's like, yeah, but is anyone doing a mailman simulator? And does it have to be high-end graphics? Maybe not. But if it's something that you put into a 3D environment, and you have the graphics, and they sell the story and they support it, that's where what we have really works, because we can make it so it happens instantly, and you don't have to have a big download to start playing that. You walk in, and the old game Paperboy, in the arcade, it had a little you're delivering papers, and you're on your bicycle, and it had a controller where it was a bicycle handlebars, and you would press the button to throw the papers. If you took that same game and you were just walking around in an environment today and putting stuff into people's mailboxes, I guarantee you that's $100 million game. So,
Dude, yes.
and the graphics don't have to be good.
I
Well, and I think
think.
the other thing too, Sean, that's so powerful, but the Hiber engine is, the speed of development, right? Like
Yeah,
the engine is perfectly tailored to building something, getting it out live, and then iterating on an ongoing basis. And I think that tool set, is important, because no game is perfect, but if you can get that game out live, start
yeah,
validating that it's resonating with the audience quickly, and then continue to iterate. Like I think all of those things combined just are
yeah.
super powerful.
So you just brought up a great point, which is within this actual Discord community, we're trying to merge a few things in. One, we have the traditional people who are here because they've been playing Hyperworld, and they're like, oh, I want to talk to other people who are building without code. Well, we've also brought in the Helix community, who are people like, okay, cool, we're gonna be here to talk about how we can actually take these great games and get them out to a big audience. And then we're gonna get the Hyper 3D developer community in here as well. So imagine you're developing a game, and then you can take that game and post it in front of people who might be interested in distributing it or helping you actually put it out there. Wow, now you have a complete ecosystem within this Discord. And there's a lot of value for creators to get feedback from other people, to find out if people really like your stuff, or how you might be able to improve it to make it even more marketable. So not that everybody wants to make money off of what they're building. A lot of people do it for the you know other reasons, the passion that they have about just creating. And we have 6.5 million games that have been built by 2.5 million people that, for the most part, haven't gotten any kind of monetary compensation for that. It's really just the feedback from the community, and the support. And I think that this is the great transition of what the Helix platform is going to bring to the Hyperworld community, is that we can now make it so that there's an opportunity to potentially make money off of what you're doing. But also, yeah, I mean, is this first step for someone to go out and have a career in the industry? And we just love the idea that the person who might make the next Monument Valley, or the next Minecraft, or even the next Fortnite, is somebody that started out within this community, and they got their start because of Hiber and Helix.
It is
Totally agree.
actually an incredible point that you bring, uh, because a lot of the games that we see out there right now, a lot of the more successful games, a lot of the bigger titles were born from two games that we know of, And the only reason these games exist now, the way they are, the way we know them, is because originally the developers of those titles gave people the ability to put their own games within the existing titles. I'm talking about Warcraft 3 specifically, and also talking
Mhm.
about Half Life.
Yeah, that's you don't get Dota and you don't get
I
a lot of games if you don't have Valve building those
yeah,
those titles back in the
exactly.
day. Um, League of Legends wouldn't exist if it wasn't for that.
More importantly, I
Um,
wouldn't get to waste my money opening Counter Strike cases, But uh,
yeah. Well, so there's a great example. I have a son who, when he, and I'll put this on the internet, when he graduated from high school, I know this. I don't know if my wife knows it yet, but he went and bought a skin for a pistol within Counter-Strike, and it was not cheap. It was significant. Like, like, dude, what are you doing? And my question about that is like, okay, how do you get your money back? Well, you can get it back into Steam dollars, but there's no way to get that back in real life and real money, as far as I can tell. So I think that's another place where the Web3 aspects come into play, where if you want to go and buy an item or buy an account, you can use it, you can participate within the community, and then when you want to sell it, you can get your money back out into crypto and into fiat. It's a it makes it work. It's kind of like if you bought something at a store and you wanted to go sell it at a garage sale or on eBay later,
it's almost
it
like
would work.
that's the way it should have been from the get go, right? And I'm glad you brought this up because this is sort of the drum I keep on beating about how badly we're mistreated on Steam Marketplace.
Yeah, it's it's pretty awful.
Yeah,
Um,
and just
Huge
to
respect to them
quickly,
for building digital distribution, because if it had not been for Half-Life 2 and them putting out the first version of Steam, which at Sony Online at the time, it made us realize, oh, we can patch everything. We can kind of ship it without the intro video, and we'll patch it later. But yeah, if they hadn't built that structure out, most game companies today would not be in business because they wouldn't be able to ship a product before it reached the hands of consumers because of the timelines that are involved. Like we used to have Gold Master, and then you have a couple months that go by for duplication of disks and distribution, and then it got a little faster and a little faster. So now it's like the word day one patch. If you're building a game that has any kind of online connectivity, day one patch is like in the plan. It's not like we might have to. It's we will patch on day one. It won't be through a normal QA process most of the time. It will be fixing the issues that we have within the beta community on day one. So uh, yeah, that's correct. I think one of the things here is we want to make people excited to come back, so we don't want to go too long today. So maybe people come back next week or the week after, but
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
maybe a couple more minutes.
Uh,
yeah. I think our plan is to start doing these weekly. So I'm excited to get to know everybody in the community a bit more, and I'm sure as time allows, we'll start
Yeah.
eliciting feedback and questions because that's half the fun.
yes, absolutely. And we do plan on doing these weekly. We're going to be alternating day and time to make sure everyone gets a chance to sort of hang out, to have a conversation. We were expecting a little more questions here on stage, but it looks like people are just enjoying the conversation. I saw somebody ask about the Helix nodes. I cannot pronounce your name because it's entirely in Mandarin, it seems, but you can indeed start running your Helix node now. Then I'm seeing Smooth
Yeah, ask
Operator.
ask the question. Let us know. What do you want?
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's have a conversation, folks. I know we sort of kicked off this conversation and just never stopped talking, and we did run up on time. But we do appreciate everyone tuning in. I see Rostikip in here. I see Ed. I'm seeing Gurulanius, General Kaizen Subspace. A lot of folk from the LFG community. Good to see you all. Dark Magic as well, and some new faces, which I am a little more excited about because I see the other guys all the time. It's good to see some new faces. You know what I mean? But I do want to let Patrick and Sean go because they are running up on time. I think somebody might have a plane to catch. And other than that, we will be back next week. We will be scheduling this ahead of time so you guys know when this is happening. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. This will be it.
There we go.
All right, we're back.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, bye.
Bye.